All right, we have a four-wheeled walker here. Obviously, it is a subject we're going to talk about. They prevent falls, create independence, and gain confidence. All right, the four-wheeled walker, they came out about 30, 40 years ago. That was about the time I started being a physical therapist.
Actually, they came out in 1978 by a creator from Sweden, and they were originally called rollators, having 3 or 4 wheels. Fun fact.
Yes, well, since then they have been proven to become an excellent choice for walking, preventing falls, and keeping you upright, stable, and confident. We're going to talk more about this. Now, I mentioned the cost of these walkers was very high initially. I remember that when I started in the 80s, it was $400 or so for a walker. Nowadays, you can get them for sometimes under $200, $300. But we're going to tell you some information on how you can get this partially paid up to 50% by Medicare. Just hold on for that point.
And we're also going to talk about the wrong fit of a walker and also some features you want to look for when buying. Because if you buy the wrong one, you're going to be a little upset you spent all that dough on a useless walker.
My mother experienced that.
Ooh.
So we'll tell you about that in just a little bit.
Features of the four-wheel walker that you're going to want to look at before buying is if it's smooth and maneuverable. Look at that baby glide, Brad.
Very smooth, very easy.
The next thing you want to look for is if it has brakes and if they function well.
Right. They always have handbrakes, I'm quite certain, but some of them do not work so well.
Third, you want to check the seat for resting options. Make sure it's a good fit for your height.
We'll talk more details about this because this is critical.
And last, you want to make sure it's adjustable height-wise for how tall you are. Get the right size.
Right. We don't adjust it like this, but it makes a difference. There's a little adjustment on that. We'll talk about that later. Okay, the first thing you need to know is all walkers are not created equal. For example, you must get the right weight setting for it or what it's designed for. Most of them that I've worked with have a 200 or a 250 pound limit. So if you're over 250 pounds, you need to get the heavier duty walker. They cost more, but you need to do it. There's two things. They're literally built much stronger. You can see it by looking at them. And another important part is the width between the handlebars is about 3 inches wider. Makes a significant difference when the person is sitting down. If they have a large buttocks and they squeeze into it, it's really hard to get out and it can be very dangerous. The next thing is adjustable heights. When you buy one, look at the specs, or if you're buying it at a store, ask, like it was for Bob. Bob is 6'6". Is this going to work? Well, the walker will have those specs on it. So, Mike, tell them how to adjust it.
So, for the armrest, if you want to make sure if you're in the store, no one's helping you, adjust it to the crease of your wrist. Stand up tall, arm is at your side. This is an okay height for you as long as the seat is good for you as well. That's what you want to look for. Say I got a walker and I only went this tall up. This is not going to fit because I'm going to be walking like this.
That's right. Exactly. All right, let's go to the next point.
Second component when buying a four-wheeler you want to look at is the wheel diameter and width of it. So here we have a 7-inch wheel. This is a little larger than normal. Most are commonly 4 to 5 inches for indoor four-wheel walkers. Now if you're going outside, you're going to want a larger circumference like this with a 7-inch wheel, especially if you're going on grass. Now Brad's walker over there is really off-road acceptable with the air-filled tires, and they're much larger.
Yeah, if you're going to be going on gravel or really uneven terrain like sidewalks that are all broken up, this is definitely the way to go. You're going to be much happier with this if you have terrain that is rough. If you're inside and you're never going to go outside, you're always on a hard floor or tight carpet, a small wheel is just fine. They work really well, actually.
Okay, the third thing to look at when buying a four-wheel walker is a combo pack here. So you want to make sure you have a good seat that is comfortable for you and the right height, as well as brakes that function and work normally. So take it away, Brad.
All right, just a few more details that are important. Make sure the brakes work well. They are adjustable. They are cable oriented, and the cables will stretch and they will need to be adjusted in time. So make sure that you know how to adjust them. If you don't, we have a video that goes through it in detail because you want to make sure your brakes are very good. The seat, this one has cushion on it. That's nice. Also, the seat should have, well, this one works. Oh, look at this one. I thought it did. Most seats, you open them up and they'll have an area down here to put your belongings, your purse, your wallet, flowers, whatever it may be. Drop them in there. This one doesn't have one. That's a negative. This one does have cushion. That's good. And a backrest. Nice cushion here so when you're sitting on it. This is critical because when you sit to rest, if you don't have a comfortable backrest, it's a problem. That's where it's an advantage to actually go to a store and sit on it and see if you're comfortable. If you order online and you get it home and say, it doesn't hit in the right spot, well, then you got to deal with that. So important points to make the walker comfortable and safe.
So now, if you're a person that has hand arthritis, wrist pain, or elbow pain, and weight bearing down through them is painful for you with this type of walker, Brad is going to show you another option that you could possibly use.
That's right. So here we have a special walker. It has forearm rests. So you put your weight through your elbow and up through the arm. So some people just may have a fractured wrist from an accident and only need it temporarily. But they do make these. They do obviously cost more, but they have a seat and they have similar function, handbrakes, all that. So much fewer people will need these, but they are available if you have that situation.
Okay, the fifth point is maybe a little superficial on our end, but you want to make sure you're walking in style. So get the color that fits you the best and looks the coolest with you. Brad is rocking the silver here, and I got the dark maroon. I might put some flames on this, but you want to make sure you like what you have as long as it's still functional for you.
That's right. Look it over. They do have some really nice looking walkers. This one's pretty institutional. It's very specific, but those standard rollators or four-wheeled walkers are really nice. And if you know someone that does do a little custom pinstriping, have at it. You know what I'm saying? All right, now what you've all been waiting for. So seriously, I want to talk about the cost of these. I mentioned it before, but insurance companies and or Medicare, if you live in the United States, typically will cover a portion of the cost of the four-wheeled walker. I just talked to a sales rep the other day, and she told me they'll cover about 30 to 40%. Couldn't get the exact numbers, it doesn't matter, but what you do need is a written order from a physician, otherwise it will not be covered. So when you see a doctor and you want one, make sure you ask for that. They will be happy to write it out. You take it and take care of it that way. And then there's something about if there's a seat on it, which all of them have a seat, so that is that they don't cover the seat or they do. I don't remember that part of the conversation, but whatever it is, make sure you have the written order from the physician and take it to the purchaser or tell them if you're ordering online, make sure that you get it covered, because it will be. So that's enough of that. Just a few little hints on if you do get a four-wheeled walker, some cons, if you will. They're a little cumbersome in tight areas, and putting them inside of a vehicle is a little cumbersome as well. They do fold up, but they're kind of heavy. You're not going to do it if you're frail or weak or have poor balance. And when you go to a restaurant with them, they work well, but you got to pick out the right table so you have room to put it. I deal with that on a weekly basis when my mother and I go out for fish.
So if you're having trouble with your four-wheel walker brakes, we did make a video about this, about how you can easily adjust them at home, and we'll link it down below, pinned to the top comment. So if you want to watch more videos about four-wheel walkers, check that one out.
That's right. Enjoy the day and roll later good.